So what I'd like to show you now is a few things. In the last lesson, I showed you how to build in SketchUp and how to use the wood and the different sequences to your advantage. Now, what I didn't do is I didn't show you how to do dimensions, and it's very simple. If you click over here on the dimensions tab or icon, any surface that you click on, if you click on that surface and then pull away from it, it tells you exactly what that distance is. So I just pulled away on it, and you can see if I choose any of these lines and just move them, and you want to move them to a position where it's easy to reference them and see them. If the viewer is having a tough time, you can just move it to a different location. And you can do that with a lot of your pieces. That's going to help when you have to make your material list for your catapults. You can take these and get the actual lengths. And you can see here, I worked in some, the scale that I used. This is a 10-inch piece, and these two pieces off the end were 3 inches each. Sorry, so ended up getting some pretty easy cuts. You can see right here is 2 15/16, which is really close to 3 inches. So those two were at 1/16 of an inch off. I'm not sure how that happened, but I would just make those two pieces 3 inches, regardless that it showed up as a very small fraction either way. So that's how you do your referencing for your measurements. I'm just going to go ahead and undo those. So I'm just going to go to Alt backspace and just get rid of all those dimensions, so we're not looking at them during my video here. So next thing I wanted to show you was how to set up and do the supports that are going to be supporting your catapult. And like I said before, there's many ways of doing this. This is just one way. So if you're stuck or if you're new to SketchUp, this might help you get started. And once you get started, you can do it on your own. So I'm just going to go ahead and make my dimensions. So going across, I can see that it's just over 3 inches wide. It should be 3 inches. And I'm going to pull back on this until I get to 1 inch, but it's, oh yeah, I'm trying to get it in the bottom corner. I'm not sure if you can see it, but I'm at 1 inch now. So that means that I could use 2 half-inch pieces of wood and fasten them together to get that. Or I could go a little bit wider here, but I'm going to stay at 1 inch. So I'm going to use 2 half-inch pieces of Baltic to make this, but this is the easiest way to do it for starters. So I'm going to pull up on it. Now you see down here, that line isn't showing. So I have to decide how I want this to look or how this is going to work on my final product. So when I look at this, if I was to go and set up my woodworking so the line came across here, that means that this support column is fastened in or glued to the base here. That's really not that good a joint. Like it would be a much better and stronger joint if I was to take and slide it in between 2 pieces here and made that the full piece of wood. So that would be a lot stronger, and it would also be, so it'd be getting support from the bottom. So I'd cut this piece, put it in, take the column, push it as tight to this front piece as I could, then I'd take the back piece and push it against it, and I'd get a nice strong support there. Now that I've done that, then that's not going to be enough. There's going to be so much tension applied to this column once you pull back on your catapult that is going to break out. It's not going to have the strength that you need, the strength that's required. So you're going to want to go ahead and you're going to want to put a triangular support in somewhere. You guys have probably remember from science that triangles give you a very strong rigid joint. You don't want a mobile joint here. So we're going to go ahead and put in some kind of a fastener, or like for stability. There's several ways of doing this on SketchUp, and there's several ways of doing it with wood. A very simple way would be to take, and I'm going to make that a 45-degree angle. So as soon as it goes pink, we have a 45-degree angle. And I'm just going to push that across. So if you cut a piece of wood the same thickness, or you got several pieces cut in the same thickness, I'm going to go up here and refer to here. You can create a support that easy. Okay, it's big and strong. You could glue it in there, and you could or screw it into position, but that would make it a very strong column. The other thing that you could do would be to put an outside support on, okay, which is a little bit different, but you could take and go from, let's say we go from here and come across. Now, I didn't quite make this the way I want it. I can change it in a second here though. So I'm going to go across the outside, and you can see here that I have several different surfaces that are showing now because of what I've done. And I'm going to have to go ahead and erase these lines because you're not going to actually see them once I'm done with what I want to show you here. So I'm just going to erase those, and oh yeah, I erased the inside of those items as well. That's not very good. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to pull out on this. So you see how we got the lines here? I'm going to have to I'm just going to edit that. Click down on the control key so it's a separate pull. I'm going to pull out on it here. Then we're going to heal the surface by getting rid of these lines. Whoops. Get a little closer. Erase straight line. Erase this line. Erase this line. And I want that to come up higher. So I'm going to go ahead and pull on this, and I'm going to move it up so it's higher on the actual piece. And you can see I really messed this up. I should have removed that other column before I started because I'm going to want to move it out of there now anyhow. So I'm going to get rid of all these lines. And this is a good thing maybe to show you because you're going to probably at some point do the same thing I've done here. And go around to the other side. So you can see what I've done. I've erased the top part of this section of wood because of this line that I put through. So I'm going to go ahead and reconnect that. So I have that piece going through. And if you look at this side, it's connected here, but is not connected on the other side. So I need to connect that back together. And a line going across here. So now you have that section of wood. The last piece that I have to connect back together is from here to here. So now we got our pieces back, and I'm going to go ahead and erase that line. Again, what's that called? Healing the surface. If you got that right, go into my room and get yourself a jelly bean. Okay, as you can tell by my voice, I'm not happy with myself right now that I've made all of these changes and all these mistakes, but that's part and parcel what happens as you're doing this. So now that I've done all that, I'm going to go back and I'm going to refer to this line, come across, and from there I want to angle this down. I'm not sure where to go here because I don't have a reference point. So I'm going to press the escape key. I'm going to go from here out. So I want to connect from here to here because I'm getting rid of this. I'm going to push this away. So I create a lot of work by having those two supports there. So what I wanted to do, the last support was on the inside. This one now I've created on the outside. And this one, believe it or not, will be just as strong as long as you put the proper fasteners in here. So you're going to want to glue it along here and along the base. If you want to put a couple nails in both spots, again, it creates a triangle, and the triangle will create a rigid shape for your object. You might want more clearance in here, or maybe it's just the design idea that the way it looks better. Maybe you think the lines look cleaner. So that's just another way that you can set up and design and make your columns. You can have supports coming out both ways if you want. I've seen that where there's a triangle coming out the other side as well. That's for you and your designer and architects and engineers to come up with an idea that you think is going to work really well. So I was able to show you two different ways of creating your supports, how to install the column and do it properly so you do get some extra benefit of those pieces of wood at the base of your system. And you're able to see how to go over and use the measuring tool to select